Hello and welcome back to the Tuesday Checklist, the weekly show where we all sit down and have a chat about what we're up to in the world of gaming. Turns out this week in the world of gaming, a bunch of amazing new titles have been added to the PlayStation Hits range, a collection of iconic games available at a discounted price and with a lovely red trim on the box. To celebrate, we've picked our favourites from the list. If you've got a PS4, you really have no excuse for not playing these beauties. Nathan's up first, take it away.
So one game that nobody any longer has an excuse to not play is Horizon Zero Dawn. Yay!
Played it.
What?
Did you not hear what Nate just said?
No excuse, Rosie.
It's the title of the video.
I know, this video will change me. After
I hope
this,
so.
I'll jump into it after what you have to say.
Right, I'm going to direct my comments directly at you. So, Rosie, I didn't play Horizon Zero Dawn until late, which isn't unusual for me. Sometimes I cycle back to games which, for one reason or another, I have just not had a chance to play. Horizon Zero Dawn was one of those games, and I think I benefited in lots of ways from waiting a little bit, and I came to it, you kind of have that thing of everyone's impressions have kind of been floating around on Twitter, or like my friends have been saying it's really good, it's actually surprisingly, it's really, really good. And
Who
when
are your friends?
When I got to it, it's just Rob, isn't it? When I got to it, I was like, oh my god, this game looks incredible. Was not ready for that. As an open world game, I wasn't expecting kind of that level of everything looking that good. The game sounds incredible. Like the sound design of the machines, they've got like a really distinctive like SFX library. I don't even know how to say it. Like there's this whole, like it feels like it's all very much from the same world. The sounds of your weapons and the machines and the music, which is kind of sad a lot of the time, and the whole world is very sad. So like in terms of just presentation, I was kind of blown away by it. And then the stuff I really didn't expect, because like I knew about Guerrilla Games, like I've played all the kill zones, and they are always like, the presentation is like a strong point. These games look great, but what I was not necessarily expecting was to move away from that like war, let's do some war, space war, more war, to go into a scenario where the story was like incredibly gripping. And I was expecting, like video games don't always give like the most sensitive or like thoughtful presentation of like post-civilization scenarios or that kind of thing. And I thought that what Horizon Zero Dawn really managed, which I loved, was it gave a sense of loss of this world and its glimpses into the past. And it did have, like, it does have something to say about kind of war and the pursuit of technology, but it doesn't treat its kind of its post-civilization characters like Aloy. You don't ever think of her as like stupid or basic or like having, or like in some way savage. You've got this group of people who are as smart as we are now, but just living in that's what gives it the sense of loss. Like they're living without the information which has been passed down to us. We're only as like advanced as we are because of we're building on the generations previous. You lose all of that. You're still kind of rational, thoughtful, caring people, but you were just in this completely different scenario. And I thought the game did that in a way which really hammered home the kind of destructiveness of the event, which is kind of obviously in the past of this world. And do you know what? Because I got so into it, I ended up doing the platinum, and like I didn't like space that out. I was like, I'm going to do the platinum, so I just like ran it like I was running at a wall. So I haven't, and then I took a break. So I have not yet played any of the DLC, and the version which is on PlayStation Hits is the complete edition. So I'm like, and I've got the DLC, so I'm like, just gonna get on that. Game's like an incredible achievement. It's really good. Everyone should play it. I'm gonna stop talking now, but they should go and play it. You've got no excuse.
Now, my game is going to surprise you. I can't imagine that you would believe I like a game like this. It is Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor.
I haven't played this one either.
Rosie, what is wrong with you? No excuse.
No excuses, I'm sorry.
So I'm a big Lord of the Rings nerd, and I think this was the first game that to me really felt like that world to me. So it really felt like Middle-earth. I felt like they'd captured the kind of wilderness and the kind of really brutal sense of what that world would be like. And so even kind of I think from my first steps into that world, which is a lovely brutal execution, I was like, yes, I'm in. This is what I want. I like the kind of the terrible, horrible things that happen there. And I think for me, that's what really won me over with this game, is that in Lord of the Rings, everybody's really good and they're really nice and they're trying to do good things, but they've also got kind of crazy, unimaginable power and no one ever really uses it. And when they do, everyone's mad at them. And in this game, it was like, what happens if you did just go a little bit mad though? And I'm like,
have a bit of fun.
Yeah, and this is what I wanted. I wanted to know what it would be like if I could just go mad and do really crazy things and just do all the really evil things that they're always telling you people can do, but telling you why they shouldn't and why that's terrible and why they've been corrupted. And so, yeah, so it starts off, you have been murdered and you come back as a cool, like, wraithy thing, and you're just kind of wandering around like hell-bent on revenge, which is just such a good starting point for me. I was like, yes, this is what I want. And then everybody says, and I think even the team behind the game said that they were really influenced by the Batman Arkham games, and you can really feel that in the combat. So that's combat that I love. It's really satisfying, it's really rhythmic, it's really quick to learn, so that it's still challenging later on, but you always feel like you've got a grasp on it. It feels that the basics of how it works feel relatively simple, and so you can concentrate on whether you're going to be using stealth, which I'm not, because bows are for babies, and and like whether you just want to run in kind of like wielding your sword, which you can guess which one I picked. And so it's not that it's simple, it's that it's got very like basic systems, and so there's something really satisfying about that, about knowing that you understand how the game's going to react at any given point in a very basic sense of what the combat will be like, or how you'll accidentally alert these enemies and what they'll do once they're alerted. But then it adds a layer of complexity to it by having the nemesis system, which is that orcs remember you, because they're like very real characters and they rise up through the ranks of like the orc army. And so like you literally like cut the ear off of like a foot soldier, and then later on he'll be like a general in charge of an orc army, and he'll remember you and be like, now I've got friends. So like it's really fun, and so it adds like details that, were it to be a more complicated game, it might feel overwhelming, that you're now like, oh, I've got to remember where that guy's gone and keep track of like cut his ear off, and now how's he doing business wise, career wise, where is he? Like but it means that because you understand the base level of the game, they can add this kind of complexity to it. They can add like lots of fun details, and also lots of like Lord of the Rings details to it that mean it's just such an enjoyable world to exist in. And so I think that's what I really enjoyed, was just the details in it. It was such a thoughtful game, and apparently they spent years and years on it, and you could really tell that it was just so. It was really fluid and fun, and it felt like people who really cared about that world and wanted you to have this very kind of, I'm going to say realistic Lord of the Rings experience. I know it's not real. I know it's not real. People have told me. But, you know, it felt like everything I feel when I read the books or I feel when I watch the films, and it felt like they really cared about that. And then also I could just like smash up thousands of orcs, which was also something I wanted to do. And so that was really enjoyable. I think it's a game that some people have missed out on, because again it kind of works the other way as well, that you don't care about Lord of the Rings, you might not care about playing it, but actually whether you do or you don't care about Lord of the Rings, it's just a really, really fantastic game.
So for my entry, there really is no excuse why you shouldn't play it, because it's not even a game. It's a trilogy of games.
Oh.
I'm going with the Nathan Drake collection for Uncharted, because come on, it's a classic. It's 3 fantastic adventure games, all compiled into one. They've been completely remastered from like the PS3 version, and they look really awesome. I've played them again and again and again, and each time I still enjoy it, find new secrets, see little details I didn't know before. The theme tune's still stuck in my head all the time. And it's such a fantastic series of games. And also because Uncharted 4 is also on the PlayStation hit, so why jump into 4 if you haven't played 1, 2, and 3 yet? Like, this will completely prepare you for the relationship between these characters, what they're like, how they develop. And if you play these 3, seeing them all grow, and they become your friends too. Like, Sully. Yes, Dave. I mean, I won't lie, you know, on Uncharted 3, there's spoilers by the way, but there's the scene where
there's young Sully.
Not young Sully.
I wanted to know what your reaction to young Sully was.
I was just like, that's really cool. He's young Sully. I was more just like, look at him, he's young and he's still the exact same. But there's the scene in Uncharted 3 when you start having hallucinations, And then the moment where Sully, when you see him die, I actually cried at that bit because on my first time playing
They are spoilers. Wow.
I know, I legit thought he died. And I remember I sat there and my brother was in the room at the same time. He was like, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "No." And then I was, just tears pouring down my face. But just the setting and everything, like a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's the Indiana Jones kind of game aesthetic thing." It's just a fantastic adventure. You will have a thrilling time with all of them. I'm presuming you guys have all played
It's
the
a requirement.
installments.
Yeah.
I've never heard of them.
Never heard of them? Get out!
Hey Rosie, which is your favourite one of the three?
Oh, probably. See, if part of me wants to say 3, but I also like really love 2. 2 is just like the intro sequence on the train and stuff like that. That's such a fantastic opening sequence.
Yeah.
But I also love 1 because I love the charm of 1. Like you can tell how each game progresses as they go on. Like because I replayed 1 first of all, and I was just like, oh, it's so charming, like seeing this adventure begin. And then you see 2 and it's completely mind-blowing on what more they did to it, how much more adventurous, how much more impactful they went with it. It's awesome. I still just remember struggling on those like blue dudes though at the end of the game. And then you've got the final boss, and I just remember him always being like, "Drag!" all the time. It's just so memorable. And then in Uncharted 3, you've got the grand adventure in the desert, and oh, you're gonna survive, you've got no water. It's just constantly, each game has got gripping moments, and you're climbing all sorts of buildings because Nathan Drake is like the monkey of video games. He can climb everything and just brush it off his shoulder as if it's like a crumb on his shoulder. Very good analogy. But I can't emphasize how much fun, how adventurous, how you will truly be a complete explorer playing these games. They're just fantastic. And every time I find a bit of treasure, it's still exciting to this day. Seeing that little twinkle in the corner, I just go, "Treasure!" And I just immediately run to get it. And it's just, and even like hearing them talk about, I think this puzzle, like, look at, I know this is in my journal. And then you've got in the beginning of the journal, like the many faces of Sully, so many tiny details, the characters. I just adore the Uncharted series. And if you haven't played the original trio yet, why? There is, I cannot think of a reason why you haven't even played at least one. But even if you haven't played one, all 3 of them are here in the PlayStation Hits. They're there for you to play. So a fantastic set of games, and honestly, there is just no reason why you don't pick them up.
My game is, it's my choice, but it's sort of doubly, important, I think, because Rob's not here to choose it. It is, of course, the epic Metal Gear Solid 5. I am an idiot. I'm sure you will all agree. One of the big reasons that I'm an idiot lately is that if I start a game and don't finish it and then put it down for 6 months, a year, and return to it, I will start the game again from the beginning rather than carrying on. What this tends to mean is, with a big game, like maybe Metal Gear Solid 5, I'll get, 20 hours in 5 times, like just play the same 20 hours over and over again. What do you mean?
No wonder you don't have a platinum. You'll be playing the same intros over and over.
Exactly.
You've got 20 hours in and start again.
Yeah, after a 6 month break or longer, maybe a longer break, because I have to enjoy. It's like, as the creator intended. You've got to enjoy. I don't want to be like, what am I doing again? Who's that guy?
Have you thought of maybe making notes?
No, I haven't. Surprisingly, no. And that's happened to me with Metal Gear Solid 5. However, and this has just happened to me again. So Nath and I, you may have noticed, have just finished, or are soon to finish, Metal Gear Solid 3. Which I think I can say we both really enjoyed. I certainly did. And it made me really want to go back to Metal Gear Solid 5 because it cast new light on certain things, like, like this was the first time that I saw the kind of origins of like Revolver Ocelot. So he's in Metal Gear Solid 5.
There it is.
So I was excited to kind of like, it cast new light on that kind of thing. So I went back again, and it's just such a good game. And also, I don't know, it was really interesting because now we've played Metal Gear Solid and Metal Gear Solid 3. I feel like I got a better kind of understanding of Hideo Kojima and what he was trying to do in 5. It was like, it's an amazing game. I think I know that you can have never played a Metal Gear Solid game and jump straight into 5 and think it's fantastic and the scope of it is excellent, and but now having played 1 and 3, I've also played 2, but I don't remember it. I played it, when
Sorry,
it came
2.
out. Sorry, 2. It kind of like just puts it in a new perspective, and you can see that progression and see how they're all linked, and see, the amazing things that they were doing in 1 and 3. That just that natural progression of that, and like it kind of makes 3 look even more amazing. At the time, the kind of new systems and ideas that they were putting into games. Really, like maybe before they were quite avant-garde, I guess. And 5 is the culmination of that dream. It's the end of the series, not chronologically. I'm not going to get into that because I probably don't fully understand it. It's just like nuts. It's really, really, really good, and it's time. I mean, if you want 100 hours of game, that you will enjoy every second
100
of.
hour Let's Play, Dave. Let's do it.
I got obsessed with it. I was walking to work, so there are cassette tapes in the game.
Yeah.
Rather than like giving you real proper briefings, or it leaves that stuff up to you. So you just get a mission, and it'll be like, go and rescue this guy. But they also give you a cassette tape with loads of background and stuff. I was walking to work with the app, listening to the cassette tapes. So yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5, no excuse. I'm putting it Nath now. That's Nath.
And breathe.
And breathe. I got very happy about. I love this series.
I can't believe you asked Rosie to pick a favourite, Nath. As
I know.
if you don't
The
know
answer was
Rosie
all.
at
I was going to say, yeah.
all games.
All of them. Yeah.
And why stop at the Nathan Drake collection?
All of them. I love them all very much.
Get down off the fence, Rosie. Pick one. Personally, I'd go with Uncharted 2 as my favourite. Or maybe 4, actually. No, definitely 2. Or maybe even 1. Whatever. Uncharted. Good. They're all good. Give this video a like if you also can't decide which Uncharted you like best. Subscribe if you haven't already. And click the notification bell so you always know when we put a new video live. Thanks for watching, and see you next week for another Tuesday checklist.
For the players.